Yes, guys, how are we? Hopefully, you are all good, and welcome back to a brand new. I need to remember to look over here, not here, here. Welcome back to a brand new YouTube video. So, today, again, the whole concept of this YouTube channel, at the moment at least, is frictionless and making it easy for myself selfishly, but at the same time that's going to help you more, because the easier it is for me, the more content I can film and the more I can help you. So today's essentially topic of conversation is going to be all around training and all centered around training, and we're basically going to be going through how many days a week you can train, what training setup you should do based on the amount of days a week you have available to yourself, as well as how to set up your training. Okay, that's pretty much it. At the moment, we do have a little bit of a setup going on where we have a free WhatsApp community. So if you'd like daily updates, training, nutrition tips, podcast recommendations, the list goes on. We are going to be making it should be live by the time you're watching this, a essentially free WhatsApp group to help you with your training and nutrition and fitness in general. But moving on to it, I need to put my Apple Watch on charge because it's beeping at me. Training availability is something that a lot of people worry about. Now, it boils down to making it sustainable. On pretty much every single consultation call I have with clients or potential clients that inquire for coaching, one of the questions I'll ask people is, how many days a week are you available? And they seem to become a little bit anxious and worried about how many days a week they should be training. In reality, the only thing that it boils down to is your availability, and there's other bits like how much volume you can recover from, how much frequency you can recover from. But the main thing for normal people is how many days a week can you actually train that you can actually stick to. If we pick a really, really shitty week where the weather's horrible and work's stressful, how many days a week can you train that week? And then that's what we're going to base it off. Because if you base it off this perfect week, it's just not going to work. So what we want to do is work out your availability. Let's say it's 3 days a week. If you have 3 days a week available, so potentially not every other day, but let's say Monday, Wednesday, Friday are your training days, I would opt for either 3 full body sessions or potentially opting for 2 upper body sessions and 1 lower body session, because most people are going to have a bias towards being bigger in their upper body, yet still developing their lower body, and a split like that would allow you to do that. The beauty of, and I'm doing this all on the top of my head, but I'm going to take you through some workouts in a second that I program for all of my clients. The beauty of a full body split is that you can train every single muscle group, so your chest, your biceps, your back, your triceps, shoulders, whatever it is, you will train every single muscle group 3 times a week. So you could be on a 3-day-a-week split, only training 3 days a week. You'll train your chest 3 times every single week. Whereas someone that just does chest on a Monday and then doesn't hit it for the rest of the week, but they train 6 days a week because they're doing individual body parts. From a frequency standpoint, you're training your chest 3 times more. You're getting triple the amount of frequency. Not necessarily volume, but frequency. So, being completely honest, the most amount of progress I've ever made with my training was probably being on a full body split. I was very, very young when I did it. I was probably like 16, 17, but I made a shitload of progress. So if you can only train 3 days a week, I'd do a full body or 2 uppers and 2 lowers. In reference of how you'd set up a full body split, it's a little bit more detailed because you need to essentially rotate around the priority of exercises on session 1, session 2 and session 3. So if you think that applies to you, let me know. We can add you in the chat. We can go through that. But in terms of how I'd set up an upper body session and a lower body session, I would start the upper body session with some sort of lever motion, so like a straight arm pull down, you could always alternate that between something that's focused on a weak point. So let's say your side delts, you could start off with a lateral raise, potentially even abs if you find that you never do your abs at the end of your sessions, okay? That's how I start off the session. In this example, I basically have a horizontal row, so that could be a seated cable row or a bent over row, something like that. A vertical pull down, so anything vertical and coming down, and then we've got a horizontal pull. So horizontal pull, vertical pull. Then we have a bench press, so a flat bench press, and then something inclined, so it could be an inclined dumbbell press or an inclined machine or even a shoulder press. We've then got some pull-ups, dumbbell lateral raises, biceps and triceps, one exercise for each. So pretty simple stuff. The same can be said for lower in relation to how you could program it. I would typically start off with abs and calves because no one ever does those, so you put them at the beginning and you should do them. Adductor, which is pretty much the only exercise, the leg exercise that you can't really replicate, so if you don't have that piece of kit, I wouldn't worry, but if you do have that piece of kit, definitely use it, it's amazing. I would then recommend having these three parts of your workout: an extension, either a seated hamstring curl or a lying hamstring curl, and then your main compound. I say compound, big movement, so that could be a leg press, a hack squat, a pendulum squat. I probably wouldn't do a deadlift on leg day, I'd leave that to a pull day or an upper day. Maybe even a barbell squat, for example, or a Smith machine squat. So you've got extension of the leg, you've got curling of the leg, so the hamstring curl, that could be seated or lying, and then we have our main movement, which is going to be our squat pattern or leg press or hack squat, depending upon the kit that you have available. And then finish off with calves if you don't put them at the beginning. That's how I'd set up an upper, and that's how I'd set up a lower. The only difference, if you're training 2 uppers a week and 1 lower, you just add another upper session identical to that using that formula, and you just change the exercises. So instead of a dumbbell incline press, you could do a barbell incline press. If you need any help with the other variations, just let me know. If you can train 4 days a week, I would do 2 uppers and 2 lowers, so that's 4 days a week at rest, or you could do push-pull legs upper, or push-pull legs rest day, another leg day, if legs are your priority. So that's how I'd set that up. 5 days a week, just as a caveat, I probably ideally wouldn't train any less than 3 days a week, and I wouldn't train any more than 5. So your window is essentially either 3 days a week, 4 days a week, or 5 days a week, okay? With 5 days a week, this is how I would set it up. So you've got pull, push, legs, rest day, upper, lower, rest day. That's how I'd set it up. In relation to how to set up the upper and the lower part of the workout or training split, we've already gone through that. So the only thing that we really need to go through is how to set up the pull session and the push session. So typically, ideally starting off with something ab related, a lever motion, so that could be something like a straight arm pull down or a dumbbell pullover or machine pullover. I would then recommend going into your main compound movement for the session. So that could be a big Pendlay row, that could be a deadlift, that could be most likely something barbell related. If your body and biomechanics and recovery and injuries, of course, allow. We'd then do a horizontal pull, we'd do a vertical pull. You could potentially get away with a couple of variations of each of those, or at least one of them. So you could do 2 horizontals, let's say a seated cable row, and maybe a bit more of a machine variation, potentially something single arm in there. And then we've got a vertical pull down, so that could be a lat pull down, a pull up. All of this really depends on the kit that you have available in the gym that you go to. Potentially getting some rear delt movement in there as well. And then 2 forms of bicep. So I would typically recommend anything in a hammer grip. So you'll be curling up like that in comparison to curling with your palm facing upwards, for example, which is going to target a little bit more of the peak of your bicep, for example. And that's how I'd set up a pull session. In terms of setting up a push session, this is what I'd recommend doing. I would usually, again, start with abs just to get some additional ab volume in there, a dumbbell lateral raise, a fly variation. Again, with like the laterals and things like that, you can just rotate kit or choose the kit that is available to you. So you could do a dumbbell lateral raise, you could do a cable lateral raise, you could do a machine lateral raise. Again, with the chest fly, moving from the lateral raise to the chest fly, we could do a dumbbell fly, we could do a cable fly, we could do a machine fly. Lots of different variations there. We then have an incline press, so anything incline related, then something flat, so barbell bench press or a Smith machine press or a flat press, potentially even machine press. We've then got a dip, so a dip variation, and then we've got a tricep movement overhead, and then we've got a push down, okay? So those are our triceps at the end. So using that formula based upon your availability, you should be able to either build out with the gym that you have available to you a 3-day-a-week split, a 4-day-a-week split, and a 5-day-a-week split. Ideally, in this formula, 3 full body sessions, 2 uppers, 2 lowers, and then push, pull, legs, upper, lower. Hopefully that helps, okay? If you guys do have any questions, obviously there's a lot of nuances in there in terms of injuries, recovery, that's a huge one, the kit, the exercises, the amount of time that you have available to actually do that session, that's something to really think about as well. Anything else, obviously sets and reps and rest periods. I won't have time to go through that in this video because I need to shoot off now, but if you do have any questions specifically related to that, just drop me a DM on Instagram. Okay, awesome guys, hopefully that helped. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.